Hey there, Sony photographer here. So I just wanted to make a video about how to prepare yourself and your car for the track. Track days are awesome, it's a lot of fun. You get to drive really fast, the speeds that you would get arrested on the streets. You get to take corners with speeds that you couldn't believe you could take before. You brake harder than you could have ever imagined, and you get to put your car to its limits. And it's a lot of fun, a lot of adrenaline, and it's very educational, especially the HPDE events. So all this fun needs a lot of preparations to be able to pull it off successfully. So what does this preparation provide? The biggest thing is safety. You need to be safe at the track, or else there's no purpose of doing it. It is very dangerous to drive really fast. There are other cars around. Other cars are also really fast. There will be a lot of people coming to the track with their track dedicated cars and their trailers. So if something happens to their car, they break down, they crash, they still have a ride home. So not all of us have the luxury to trailer our track cars to the track with our SUV or truck. We have to drive our daily drivers, or the cars that we rely on the most. So we need to be able to get to the track safely, have a good time at the track, and then come back home safely. So to be able to do that, your car needs to be in a really good condition. If it's not, here are some of the things you could do. So let's talk about how you can prepare your car for the track. Since you're watching this video, it's safe to assume that it's going to be your first time at the track. You might also be an experienced driver who has been to multiple track events. In that case, if I missed something or if I said something wrong, feel free to comment and correct me. I'm not a professional, I'm just a beginner. I just want to share my thoughts and processes when I was preparing for the track. So if it's your first time, you're more than likely are going to go to an event called HPDE. This is called High Performance Drivers Education. HPDs also stand for High Performance Driving Events, but you and I are going to refer to it as High Performance Drivers Ed. So most HPDE events require you to have some kind of a form filled out by a certified mechanic. And this form is usually like a technical tech form that makes sure your car is in a really good condition. This is a mandatory step. Usually you can't go on to the track without this. You need the inspection done. This is separate inspection from the inspection that happens on the track. So this is just checks all your items. I can also attach the form that I used that was provided by the event. So you can take a look and see what you need to check. In this inspection, the mechanic will look over your car, make sure your car is in a safe condition for the track. The reason why this is important is on a day like an HPDE, there's going to be a bunch of other cars on the track with you. So if your car has some problems, I don't know, maybe your wheel flies off or you start leaking oil, this is a big danger for other cars on the road, not only yours. So you could possibly ruin the weekend of a bunch of other drivers by a small negligence. So make sure you take it to a good mechanic and get it checked out. So if your car is pretty new, your mechanic is probably going to just talk about wear items like tires, brakes, and fluids. So let's talk about tires. For tires, especially street tires, you need to have 1/16 of an inch thread left in your tires. You need that minimum because you're going to be going through your tires like no other. There's no going around that. You're going to be going really fast around corners, you're going to be braking really hard, and you're going to be accelerating really hard. This puts a lot of load on your tires, especially if you have a staggered system like the Mustang. My Mustang comes with a 255 in the front and 275 in the back. With this setup, car understeers a lot more than a regular square setup car. So if you're pushing your car really hard, your front tires are going to wear out really fast. So for convenience, a lot of people will bring track dedicated wheels and tires. If you have space in your car, you can just put them in your trunk and under your rear seats and just bring them to the track with you. That way you can just swap out your street tires, have your track tires, and you don't have to worry about driving back home or buying new tires right away. If you wear your track tires, we can buy them closer to your next event. Also, I was talking about how with my setup, I got a lot of understeer, and I had a pretty much stock setup. I haven't done much to the suspension. I've only done the Steeda subframe braces, and I've made a video about it. Other than that, I have a stock car. What I would recommend on a street car that's just brand new to have some negative camber. Especially with my setup, my front tires, since they're smaller than the rears, the sides of the tires got really worn out. I feel like my front tires got worn out more than my rears. So if you can do that, add some camber, maybe like 1 to 2% per degree. Let's talk about brakes now. With brakes, you need to at least have half thickness of your brakes left over. The reason for that is with street pads, when you're at the track, you're going to be generating a lot of heat. Street pads don't like heat too much. They wear out much faster. So street pads are designed to work much better when they're cold or just slightly warm. When you're driving on the street, you don't generate as much heat as, let's say, you're at the track. So those brakes need to be, they'll just slow you down much faster when they're cold. So if you want to have a peace of mind, I suggest getting track-specific pads and just swap them on before you get on the track. Do note that you need to break in your brakes, so you might need to put them on before coming to the event, maybe a few days before, and just kind of break them in according to the manufacturer's guideline. Make sure to follow them properly so you can have the best braking performance when you're at the track. Also, when you're swapping out your rotors at the track, let's say your pads are already broken in, you need to clean your rotors really well. You just got to take out everything and just clean them, because the residue that's left between different pads could affect the braking performance of the other pad that you're trying to switch. So make sure to clean them really well. You can use Sonax and like a really good brush to get everything off. Sometimes you do need to sand it, so make sure to just look up tutorials or different like forum threads on how to clean specific brake pads. Not all of them are created equally, so some might be easier to clean with the Sonax, some might need sanding. So since we're talking about brakes, let's talk about brake fluids. I'm just going to move on to the fluids part. So brake fluids are really important at the track. They provide pretty much the braking force that's required to squeeze those pads to the rotors. So if you don't have high performance or racing brake fluid, there's a high chance that you're going to boil your fluid at the track. Most likely you have a street car, and a lot of street cars, they have .3 or .4 brake fluids. The Mustang comes with a .4 certified or whatever standard brake fluid. So .4 has a pretty good boiling point as far as dry and wet, but it's still not enough for the track. The thing is, like if you have too high of a boiling temperature for both dry and wet, your brake fluid is going to absorb more moisture, therefore decreasing the boiling point. So I would highly recommend for you to go to your forum of your car or vehicle, or ask owners of the same car who track their car. Well, what happens when you boil your fluid? Well, you're just going to feel like the pedal is not there. If you press the pedal, you're not going to get much feedback, or the car's not going to slow down as much. This is very dangerous when you're like going speeds of 130, 140 miles per hour, and you have to do a hairpin turn at like 40 miles per hour. So you have to be able to slow down significantly, and all these slowing down will generate a lot of heat. So you're gonna probably boil your stock fluid if you're gonna be pushing your car really hard. Usually on your first event, this will probably not happen. Like an HPD, you'll be fine. But just in case, just to be safe, you really need to have a good brake fluid. Well, like I told you earlier about doing your research, I did that myself, and I got a little bit confused because everyone and their brother and cousin have their favorite brake fluid. Oh, this is the best, that's the best. Well, that sucks, this sucks. So it's really tough to get decided on a specific fluid. So make sure you ask another owner. Let's say if you have a Mustang, ask another Mustang owner who goes to the track. If you don't know someone, just ask the event organizers. I'm sure they know someone. The event that I happened to go, one of the organizers, one of the inspectors and the instructors had an orange Mustang the same year. So just don't hesitate to contact people, message people, and ask their like in-track experience with that specific car. So the fluid that I used was the ATE Type 200 braking fluid. This one's not too expensive, and it does much better than the stock braking fluid. So I had a really good experience with this braking fluid. I never had any brake fade or any fluid boiling, so I would highly recommend it on your first event. If you're learning, you're probably not going to be driving like 10/10 of your car, so don't sweat that too much. This fluid is not too expensive. For about like $34, I got like two 1 liter cans, and that was enough to replace all the fluids. Yeah, another thing is you're gonna need like about 2 liters of fluid to get like a whole flush through your system. If you want a better fluid, I suggest getting the Motul RBF 600. It has higher boiling point than the ATE. That's also a really good fluid that got recommended to me by a local racing shop and some other people. And these next two fluids, I would recommend them if you don't mind spending extra money. These are really high performance fluids. They have really high boiling points. Now these do cost a lot more money than the ATE, for example. So this first one is a Torque RT700. This is a really good braking fluid, recommended by a lot of people. Also the Castrol SRF. These two are probably like one of the best braking fluids you can buy right now. I'm sure there's some other good ones, but these are really good. So I told you about the first reason why you should change your brake fluid, which is the boiling point. Now I'm going to talk about the second reason why you should change your brake fluid. Over time, they're going to absorb moisture. What this moisture does is reduce the boiling point of the braking fluid, so making it more prone to boiling when it's hot. It will also create some kind of like a space between the actual fluid itself and, let's say, your pedal pressure, so it's going to feel more mushy overall. So with higher boiling points, usually braking fluid tends to absorb more fluid than a regular, like low quality or just OEM braking fluid. So what that means is you would need to replace your braking fluid more often, which makes it even more expensive compared to your stock OEM braking fluid, because you're going to be paying more for the higher boiling point brake fluid, and you're going to be paying more for replacing it more often. So keep that in mind. If you have a track specific dedicated car, that's not a problem, but with your street car, that might be an issue. But of course, if you don't mind swapping up your brake fluid, that's fine. I would suggest following the manufacturer's directions on when you should change your braking fluid. Usually you will tell it on the box of the whatever fluid you bought. Mine, it says it lasts about 2 to 3 years of just regular driving. But since I did go to the track, it's probably a little bit shorter. Other fluids you might need to take care of are the transmission and the differential fluids. So if your car is newer, you might not need to do this. But if your car is older, just make sure when you get your car inspected, just get those fluids checked. You probably won't need this. This is probably like, if your car is known to, let's say, overheat, or these other owners of your car have replaced their fluids in their transmission or differential, then you should probably do it. I did not have to do it because my car is pretty new. So your engine oil needs to be in good condition also. Depends on when you had your oil change. And you can't be low on oil, so make sure you check your oil, make sure that you have enough oil in your engine. Because when you're at the track, depending on your engine, you might be burning some oil. You'll lose some oil. So you don't want to be low on oil. Make sure you top it off with some oil before the track, and bring some engine oil to the track, so between sessions or in the end of the day you could add in more oil. Talking about oil, make sure you empty your catch can if you have one. My car did not come with it, but I do have an oil catch can in the car. Make sure you empty it before the track and do it after also. I had a good amount of oil in my catch can after the event. It wasn't too much. I did not have to empty it right away because there was a lot more space, but just in case. For the last part, it's a good idea to give your car a nice wash and add some kind of a hydrophobic coating on the car. It would be good to add like a sealant or just like a nano coat on the car so that it's hydrophobic to the rain. So if it rains, the rain will just fall off the car. Do the same thing on the glass as well. Add some Rain-X. It will just help you a lot. If it happens to rain at the track, it will just, when you're going fast, you won't have to deal with your wipers, because at fast speeds, Rain-X does the job of a wiper. So if you have a clear bra on the car, you're pretty much good on this section. But if you don't have it, it might be a good idea to invest in it if you have the extra money, because you're going to be driving, let's say, a few hours to the track. You're going to be on the highway, there's going to be trucks, other cars throwing rocks at you unintentionally. and it will happen at the track too. I had tons of rubber marks, tons of tiny, I had a few more other chips on the paint, and it really sucks. So make sure you have clear brow, or what I did was to add painter's tape to the front of the car. Also cover your mirror caps. I forgot about them. I have like 2 chips on them, I think, so it's whatever. I kind of got over it. A lot of people hate clear brush. If you hate clear brush, like I said, you can just do a painter's tape. It doesn't look terrible. It looks a little weird, but whatever. You know, you love your car, you want your car to look good, so that's totally understandable. But make sure you do a good job when you're putting your tape. I did a half-ass job because I was in a rush. I didn't plan things properly. Some of the tape did not stick on the paint. So when I was going at the highway speeds, tape kind of came off, and it caught a lot of little rocks. So if I had to like push them down, I would be pushing all those tiny little rocks and sand particles on the paint. Make sure you do a good job of putting your painter's tape on your car. It's really important. It will protect your car, and you'll also look pretty nice. I got compliments on how my car looked.